Hi Aquarius, welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for February of 2020. For you Aquarius, this month the themes are going to be moving through your first house, and of course it's birthday time for you, right? So spotlight definitely on self as continuing from last month. And then planets will begin to move on into Pisces, your second house of resources, of money. And there are two planets going retrograde this month, which are going to really bring some in-your-face themes. One of them is Mercury, which you may already know about somewhat, but I'll explain it thoroughly and how it plugs into the new moon this month. And the other one is possibly a little less familiar, and that's Juno, the asteroid goddess of marriage. And here to tell you all about Juno retrograde and how that affects your sign is Julia.
Well, hey, Aquarius. So, Juno is an asteroid which represents our long term partnership needs. And that's a little bit different than Venus, which most people associate with the relationship planet, and she totally is. But both of those planets show different aspects of who we are in relationships. Venus shows us more how we fall in love and how we express our feelings of affection, versus Juno, which is, again, long-term partnership needs. And Juno is going to be going retrograde this month, which means that there's going to be a review and a reevaluation of these long-term partnership needs, because every time a planet goes retrograde, you're reviewing the themes of whatever it represents. So I'll start with Venus, because she's going to be entering your third house of communication on February 7th. And Venus is a very peacekeeping planet, so you could be a lot more diplomatic in your communications with other people. So that means it's a really great time for ironing out any previous miscommunications you've had. It could be a really good use of that transit. And Juno, the planet that I just introduced, is going to be going retrograde in your ninth house of the higher mind and adventure on February 8th. So, like I said, when a planet goes retrograde, it's a time for review. So with Juno, you could be reviewing how your long-term partner satisfies you intellectually by stimulating your higher mind or your more spiritual, religious mind. You could also be evaluating whether your partner helps you connect to your sense of adventure and how you two can kind of explore the world and your horizons together. Now, both of these planets are going to oppose each other on February 25th, so there might be some tension in how you communicate and expand your mind with your partner. You might be thinking of questions like, does your partner help you grow intellectually by expanding your mind? Or do you feel satisfied with how the communications are on a more mundane matters, like everyday stuff, which is really, really important too to keep a relationship running smoothly. Now, another planet I want to talk about is Mars, and he begins this month in your 11th house of friends. So you could be feeling a little bit more competitive in your friendship groups this month, which could lead to a little bit of conflict. Then Mars enters your 12th house on February 16th, and this is the most hidden house in the zodiac. So you could find yourself acting, because that's what Mars represents, acting behind other people's backs or being a little bit more passive aggressive. Just be careful that this doesn't blow up in your face, because this is also the house of self-undoing too. And I know we have some lunations that are really relationship oriented too, right, Jamie?
We do. And I just had a thought as you were talking about Mars, which is that the 12th house is also the house of solitude, retreat, and sleep. And Mars being such a vital planet, perhaps that could lead to literally a need for more sleep in order to restore your vitality this month.
That's an interesting
So there's a
observation.
thought. There is going to be a full moon on February 8th. And there it is, moon in Leo, sun in Aquarius. And a full moon tends to bring high emotions with it, and also a sort of a relational dynamic, because these two are pulling in opposite directions. And it's going to plug into that Juno retrograde very much. And the sun falling in the first house of self, where it loves to be, there's going to be a strong pull towards, who am I? What are my needs? What about me as the center of my life? Versus that moon in Leo in the seventh house, symbolizing, who is my partner? And do they need attention? Do they need more attention than I can give? what is the balance of attention in this relationship? And then plugging that into the Juno retrograde period, then you may ask yourself, does this relationship support growth for both partners, or does one partner seem to sort of subsume and colonize the other one? And how can that be brought into greater balance? And how can communication, honest, direct communication, help with that? So those themes should be particularly pointed around the new moon, as if the full moon, I mean, is the sort of a gathering or a peaking place where those Juno themes can come out, even though it happens really early in Juno turning retrograde, right there on the 8th, the same day that Juno turns retrograde. So at that point, Mercury has already moved into Pisces. It does so early in the month on February 3rd. And Pisces for you is your second house of resources, of money, of food, of your physical body and your possessions. The things that connect you to the physical world. Now, Mercury is a very cerebral planet, and Pisces is a very kind of disembodied sign. And this kind of serves to explain why, for you, especially if you're an Aquarius riser and not an Aquarius sun, you may feel like your relationship with the physical world is kind of abstract. It's hard to be grounded in your body, and sometimes you may feel a little floaty instead of in your physicality. Well, I don't think that Mercury is necessarily going to help all that much. However, I do want to say that as the month goes on and Mercury turns retrograde, this little guy is going to trigger a retrospective, which happens to everyone in whatever house Mercury retrograde falls in. And for you, that being the second house, this is going to be a month in which you should just plan on, redoing your budget, cleaning up your books, your financial records, and if you've been delaying getting yourself together around taxes, this would be a really good time to dig into that mountain of little teeny pieces of paper. And then the other thing is food and eating and relationship with body and diet. So this Mercury retrograde could really trigger some need to kind of clean house, to clean out old things, and bring some things current in the areas of what are you eating, and is it right for your body? So Mercury is going to be doing that stuff while it's retrograde there in your second house. And then as the sun moves into Pisces, which happens on the 18th, and then it comes and it catches up with Mercury and the moon also. So we have a new moon in Pisces there in your second house with Mercury, which is going to again serve to bring to a peak those retrograde themes of Mercury in a similar way to how the full moon in Leo brings to a peak some of the Juno retrograde themes. So that means feeling it more emotionally, possibly feeling into it more intuitively, and I think at that point you really better watch out for falling off the wagon if you've been on a diet, eating emotionally just because of feeling like some sense of despair about the diet. So instead, go into it prepared and recognize that you're probably going to hit some snags and you're going to need to look backward and look inward and make some adjustments to how your food and your money are going right now. There's one other thing that I really want to mention because I'm kind of excited about it, and that is that Jupiter and Neptune are forming a sextile, and it's happening all year really, but the first pass of it is going on here this month in February on the 20th. So here is Jupiter in Capricorn in your 12th house, and Neptune here in Pisces in your second house, and not to give too much away because we made a video all about this and you can find it in the 2020 news playlist, but just to let you know that if last year sucked, which by and large it did in the lead up to Saturn conjunct Pluto, which happened last month, it's going to get better. And it's going to get better because those people, and I hope you're one of them, whose ethical and moral systems of thought plug directly into your sense of compassion for all of humanity and all living things. When those two things are really well connected, it's like Jupiter and Neptune form a chorus of angels singing over you, and you experience grace and joy. For you in particular, this comes down in your 12th house of dreams, imaginings, and vision, and also your second house of money. So there couldn't be a better time to be manifesting improvements to your finances if you lean that way. Let's see, is there anything else I want to throw out there for you, Aquarius? I don't think so. If you wanted a reading this month, I would say that probably the best choice would be a natal and transit reading because it's so flexible. You can ask about anything. And the themes this month, well, they certainly do gather around relationship, but really they range into a number of different areas. And the great thing about a natal and transit reading is that you can talk about anything, anything you need to talk about. So I think that's what we've got for you, Aquarius. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always find our horoscopes on our horoscope page on the Pandora Astrology website. And also, you can find them on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, organized into their playlist by month. And we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.